Hey, this is James Disciple Johnson, National President and founder of Disciple Christian Motorcycle Club, and I want to talk to you about growth in organizations. You know, here in Disciple Christian Motorcycle Club, we've seen meteoric growth. In 6 short years, we've gone from a one-state operation with 4 guys to 250 guys spread across the U.S. and 27 states and 5 countries. And that's been huge. And sometimes we think, God, why doesn't it continue to grow at a meteoric rate? So I want to answer that question. Number one, can we please stop growing at a meteoric rate? It's a lot of work. It's a huge amount of work. There has to be a leadership structure in place to deal with growth in all these states and in all these countries. The job of leadership is incredibly difficult. Your state presidents and regional and national leadership are overworked to the point of extreme exhaustion and frustration by how much work there is to do. Everybody that's held the national title has wanted to quit that job or quit the club at some point or another because it's a huge amount of work. It's a thankless job much of the time. There's a lot of drama and politics that have to be dealt with by the different leadership in the club. And so it takes a huge amount of work. If you are asked to step up into a leadership position, be diligent in that position. Learn what you need to know and know that the men who are going ahead of you are trying their best to operate the club at the optimal level. You know, there's only about a dozen national leadership for the 250 men that are out there. There's only a small cadre of men who are helping to grow the club and teach people who are in the club the right way. And that's very difficult. At one point, I remember one national leader was responsible for about 40 people in 2 states. If you can imagine, it's almost impossible to teach 40 people in 2 states to be good disciples. So just a huge workload. Second of all, in any organization, there's going to be turnover. I was talking to some 1%ers the other day, and I was like, man, it's funny. You can take a picture from Disciple from 2 years ago, and half the guys that are in that picture are gone. And they started laughing, and they said, 1 year ago. It's difficult being in an organization. There's so many expectations that people have. There's so much work. There are so many people that are attracted to it because it seems cool, and then they walk away. Sometimes I hear from people that Disciple must be doing something wrong when we lose people. Well, if we just accepted everyone and anything went, then that would be okay. When we lose membership, it affects me deeply. Those are brothers. They're people that I care about. When you lose a full patch, it's like, wow, why? But the truth of the matter is that most full patches quit about 6 months after getting their patch. They're so hungry to get that patch that they'll endure anything as a prospect. And then they get that full patch and they realize, gosh, the work continues. I have to still be doing work. I'm not calling out anybody specifically or saying that all people that quit the club are bad. There are lots of reasons people walk away from the club. Sometimes it's to pursue a different ministry, or it's because God has called them elsewhere. Sometimes there's completely legitimate reasons. And then some people walk away because they get butthurt over some conversation that they had with somebody, or there's some interpersonal drama that they can't handle, and so they walk away for those reasons. And those reasons may not be good. But people do quit. It happens. And it's not because necessarily we're doing something wrong. At times that may be the case, and we've certainly made some course corrections because of things that have happened. But there are just simple differences that happen where the entire national leadership says, hey, this is what we need to do, and people quit because they don't like that choice. Or people quit because it's too much work, and they thought once they got a patch, the work ended. Sometimes whole charters of people get upset about something and quit. You know, I've heard from people that, well, gosh, the whole California charter and the whole Texas charter and the whole Georgia charter and the whole Florida charter, those statements aren't true. The whole California didn't quit. There were 3 full patch members that quit in California. And then shortly after them leaving, we had the largest run ever, 120 people with a very large 1% attendance at our run, at the Big Beard run this year. The whole Georgia charter didn't quit. Many of them did because they didn't want to be in an international club where they had to do a lot of work at the international level and pay into and sow into that financially. But there are still lots of good guys in Georgia, brothers that I love. The whole Florida charter didn't quit. There was some drama, some people left, and yet there's still a great Florida charter. If you said there was no Florida charter, you'd offend a lot of guys who have done a lot of work and are good guys who are involved in the Florida charter. And so I'd encourage you, when somebody quits, they have their reasons. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person or we don't love them. In fact, we love them just as much. It just means that their ministry goals do not align with our ministry goals, and that's okay. People are going to come and go. The people that are here the long time, the people that retain, those are the people that you love and you care about, and that you sow into the most. I learned when I was in a motorcycle club back in the day, during the motorcycle club wars, that if you made it 3 years in a motorcycle club, that was a lifetime. And if you made it 5 years, you were probably going to be a lifer. And if you made it 10 years, you were probably going to die in the club. People come and go. There's a financial cost, there's a time cost, there's a family cost, there's a commitment cost, and there's the constant onslaught of the enemy against you when you set yourself out to do something in ministry. So just because people come and go doesn't mean that we're failing as an organization. Many people come and go from other great motorcycle ministries and 1% clubs as well. These things happen. The goal is be focused on mission and ministry. You know, one thing that's interesting, I've discovered that in Disciple Christian Motorcycle Club, we are well recognized and respected by the clubs that we deal with. And the fact that you're a full patch member in Disciple Christian Motorcycle Club may indeed grant you an invite to join a world-renowned 1% club. I've had 2 opposing 1% clubs offer me to leave Disciple and join their ranks. I've had the opportunity even to skip whole steps of membership for 1% clubs and walk away from Disciple. Not happening. I'm very happy with this club. I want to be around these brothers. I want to be around men who are pushing me closer to God. At times I see people leave Disciple to go and start running in the 1% world because they're enamored with the 1% world patches and the 1% world clubs. But they forget that they joined Disciple because they were weak spiritually and they want men to push them. When you jump off and you go into the opposite world, you're not going to have men pushing you to be a better Christian. You're going to have men pushing you to do, well, other things. So please remember why you came to Disciple. It's to be around men who are going to push you to be a better man spiritually. Please remember that sometimes when people come to Disciple, they get focused on people and words and things, and they get upset about things that, it upset them, but maybe it's not worth getting upset about. Please remember that your goal is to push men to have a daily word and prayer time and support the 1% world in prayer. You came here to push other men to be better. Fulfill your ministry. I'm James Disciple Johnson, National President and Founder of Disciple Christian Motorcycle Club, and this has been another Disciple Moment.